What's going on, sports fans? It's Josh Williams back again with another live episode of the American Fan 365 podcast. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Got a lot to talk about today, but before we get going, let me go ahead and get Dave in here. First off, let me let Dave know that I'm in here. All right, so let me see. Say what's up to everybody. What's going on, Z? But yeah, going to be talking about NFL today. Talk about the playoff matchups. Who do you guys think is going to be the champion this year? What's wrong with the braids? What do you mean, Dave? Come on in here. Go ahead, get in here, Dave. Let's accept his request. Let's see. There he is. Oh yeah, we're getting good at this now, Dave. This is getting pretty good. I've already gotten some hate on the braids. What is going on, Z? What's you know what I mean? What you guys say bad about the braids?
What is it? The braids?
Braids too tight? Oh man, how you doing, Dave?
I'm doing great. Doing great.
Oh, yeah. It's a long season, Dave. Long season.
35 games ain't nothing though.
Yes, I am 40 years old. That's uncalled for. You have to bring ageism into this.
Dang.
Like just go play me like that. That's not right. That's not right. Our fans, you know what I mean? The few fans we have gonna come in and start chopping us down, but it's all right. Don't be mad because I still look good. I grow for those that can't, okay? You know what I mean? Some of our brothers out here, we losing hair. I'm not, so I gotta keep the hair rolling for those that can't grow.
That's a fair
But
point.
Dave, how you doing? How's your new year?
It's okay. It's okay.
All
You
right.
know, sports are going okay, so we're doing all right.
Sports are okay.
They're okay.
I'm 2 for 4. I'm 2 out of 4. I'm usually 2 out of 4. So basketball is trash.
Better than you have
Let's
been.
see.
You've been 0 for 4 a couple years.
No. I haven't been 0 for 4 in a while. Not 0 for 4 in a while. Somebody's always doing okay. Like the Caps usually are always holding it down, and then the Cubs are usually like right there in the middle.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, it's been a little tougher since the Nationals traded Bryce Harper and Trey Turner.
Not a Nationals fan. I hate you so much.
All right. Okay.
It has been tough for the Nationals though, since they traded those two guys. I will say that. But I was saying we're going to talk about today. Got to talk about the NFL. Bloody Monday has been bloody, but not as bloody as some would have thought. So that was interesting.
Some of that got done in the season, I think.
Yeah. There were a lot of coaches that got cut in season. So, and I'm sure the rest of those guys are probably going to lop off again too. So,
yeah, but I mean, I think there's only one. Well, kind of surprised. I'm not that surprised Pierce still has his job here in Vegas.
That one is.
They don't got the money to be paying another coach.
Yeah,
paying him.
That's fair. That's fair. Well, paying another coach, paying him, and paying the new coach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one I'm kind of surprised is still there is McDaniels in Miami.
I said that as well. Zachariah said Dayball. I said Debo. Dayball should have been gone. That one was a little bit of a surprise.
I don't think you can blame. I still think Dayball can be a good coach. Man, you gave money to Daniel Jones. You got rid of Saquon. I mean, who was he supposed to win with?
Yeah.
I mean, Neighbors looks like a prize, but I mean, they need a quarterback or something.
Yeah. That's fair. But let's go ahead and get into NFL. First off, Tyreek Hill might be leaving Miami. What is this? 3 years into the Miami situation, probably. So, yeah, that was big news. You know what I mean? He didn't go back in the game in the fourth quarter yesterday. I'll put it to you like this though, Dave. Would you take Tyreek Hill on the Buffalo Bills?
Absolutely not.
So this is what we're doing. This is what we're doing today, Dave. This is what we're doing.
Absolutely
this
not.
is what we're doing today, Dave.
I have my own personal off the field Tyreek Hill issues. I mean, when you put your hands on a woman, I don't want you on the team anyway. So that's
okay.
That's a number
Listen,
one.
I have have no moral high ground. You know that my Cubs won with Aroldis Chapman literally in the offseason to beat the hell out of somebody.
Yeah.
So I don't when it comes down to it, especially if it's a team that hasn't won in a minute, short of murder.
But I think you're seeing with Tyreek Hill, I mean, world class speed, but he didn't have a good year.
He
He had
didn't have
no
a
big
good year,
plays.
but you know what I mean. But think about it though. You know they were solid until Tua goes down, just like they've been in the past as well. Zachariah also saying Zeke is selfish. I don't want him on my squad. Both you guys are tripping. Please come to DC. I will take him tonight.
You know
Look, he
what?
can
But
come right now.
can I tell you my
Oh,
biggest reason I wouldn't want him on the Bills? Not
okay,
just
all
that
right.
he was a Dolphin and a Chief. You know, he sucks for those reasons too. But the
Fair.
Bills, Josh Allen had the season of his career not having to force the ball to somebody. The difference this year between last year when, listen, Diggs was super important to the development of the team and
Josh Allen.
and Josh Allen and the entire
Yeah.
culture. So it's not me disrespecting Diggs, but by the end, Diggs was more of a detriment than a plus because you had to force the ball to Diggs or it started. And it started from
Mhm.
play one of the game. I'm a Bills fan. I watched it enough. I saw it enough times.
Yeah.
So it's not to disrespect Diggs, but a volatile receiver like that, whether they're open or not, you have to force the ball. And this season, Josh Allen didn't have to force the ball to anybody.
Yeah.
The ball went where
Yeah.
somebody was open. They brought in Amari Cooper. He had games with 0 catches.
Well, here I'm gonna put it to you. That's true, and you said that last week too. I'll put it to you like this though. If he came to my Commanders, my Redskins, if he came to my team, and you actually put him next to Terry McLaurin, who is a very unselfish guy, it opens up so much of the field for both of them because we don't have any other weapons. We don't have it's literally Terry and then Jaden, and then everybody else kind of gets in and gets off depending on the matchup. But if you put two real weapons on the field at the same time, it would change a lot for my team, I would
It
say.
would. And like I said, I say the stupidity, and then all of a sudden, if he showed up, trust me, I'd be making rationalizations immediately. I would set the world record for backpedaling. I know myself, and I know how I will contradict myself in these situations. I can say that I wouldn't initially be thrilled, though. It would take some convincing.
Okay, okay. All right, all right. Well, all right, switching gears over to Bloody Monday and a little bit of Bloody Sunday. Gerard Mayo was cut literally right after the game yesterday. Doug Peterson doesn't get another opportunity in Jacksonville.
Doug
But as we
Peterson's
talked
been
about,
fired for weeks. It's just we've known that for a
do
long time.
do you feel it was Peterson as much as it was just I don't know. Like I don't know. There's just certain
It's
things
it's
there.
part Peterson, it's part Trevor never developing. Like I thought Trevor was going to be a stud. I know I'm in the minority on that, but I thought he was going to be a really good player,
Mm,
and it's never really happened. But Peterson was supposed to be the guy to get him there. Your biggest
yeah,
problem is that the Cons said they expected this to be their best team this year. So for them to come out, and yes, there were injuries involved and everything like that, but you've got a great draft pick in Brian Thomas.
it,
You have some
he looked great.
players.
He looked
You
great.
have some players. So, but like Trevor never really progressed, and once they got off to a bad start, they were done.
Yeah.
They were just getting
Yeah.
waxed by teams. Like the Bills beat the brakes off of them.
Yeah, y'all did. That's true. That's true. I think back to what you were saying as far as Dayball. I think that look, Dayball and I was reading something earlier in Jim Mora and all them had said some things too. Mara, he's only 2 years removed from being coach of the year. So to go from coach of the year to fired in such a short span, even though there has been a lot of
But
backbiting and a lot of,
the
you
thing
know,
is, not to interrupt you,
ignorance in
but
the
that
office.
happens in the NFL all the time. You go from coach of the year to fired all the time because you overachieve with a squad, but then that overachievement catches up with you, and then you
Yeah.
start playing first place schedules. Like
Yeah.
not disrespecting the Texans. One of their wins was against the Bills, but I mean, they came back down to earth this season. They just play in a terrible division.
Yeah.
That first place schedule hits a lot harder than the last place schedule.
It's definitely a little bit different. We see who you really are and who you really aren't. That's for sure. No, that's true. McDaniels, I think, what did they go 8-9? Had a losing season. We're in it the whole way, but listen, that Tua
No,
injury,
they
you know what I
they
mean?
were they kind of came back a little bit late because they were down and out.
Hmm.
They took some bad losses this season.
They did.
That's not a, like they have speed everywhere, but I haven't seen anything that tells me, and maybe I'm wrong, that Mike McDaniels is a head coach. I haven't seen it. Might just be a really good coordinator. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Steve
Yeah, yeah,
Steve
that's
Spagnuolo is
fair.
going to go in the Hall of Fame for being a great coordinator.
Shoot, what was the one? Buddy Ryan, Buddy
Buddy
Ryan, and
Ryan,
then
Wade
uh,
Phillips. I mean,
Zachariah actually had said, one thing that did come up. I read that this morning too. Buddy Ryan talking about going back to the Jets
you
and
thinking of
that he's
Rex?
the best.
Rex Ryan.
The, oh yes,
Oh,
that's thank you. No,
oh,
not Buddy. Rex Ryan going back to the Jets.
well,
And how crazy that could be.
he's got a big mouth and he's not afraid. He never tiptoes around a subject. That's for sure.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
He always
Up
puts his
next.
best foot forward, Josh.
Definitely always with the best foot forward. Definitely with the foot jokes too, with anything Rex Ryan related. Up
Wes Welker
next,
was a legend for that.
teams trying to trade for Mike Tomlin. Now, remember last year I was saying that I wanted my team to trade for Mike Tomlin because everyone was down on Tomlin. And again, this year they had a little bit of a late season swoon after having such a great start. And now people are quietly down on Tomlin again. We'll get to the playoff matchups. They're playing the Ravens. They're -10. They're +10 favorites against the Ravens after beating them a few weeks ago. Um, do you think that Pittsburgh should keep Mike Tomlin? And what would be, if they did let him go, what do you think would be
It,
proper compensation?
okay, first things first. I think it's worthless to waste time thinking of proper compensation or any of that. That franchise doesn't get rid of coaches. He's not going anywhere. And somebody did
Yep.
bring something up that, well, if it wasn't for a Santonio Holmes crazy catch, he'd have no rings. He'd have been fired years ago. It's like, yeah, but the catch happened. And the thing is,
Shoot, that catch happened, and then they went right back to the Super Bowl and barely lost to the Packers. Like,
I'm
let's
I'm just
not get
saying
misconstrued.
he's still yet to have a losing record.
That's right.
There now, granted, the first year he has a losing record, he's out. I mean,
That
I believe that
and that
completely.
and that's even worse because they'll go 8-9 and be like, oh yeah, it's over. It's time to get rid of him. Like, bro, listen, for all of you fools out there that are Pittsburgh Steelers fans that wish to have Mike Tomlin fired, just take a look around the league. And when it comes down to it, Mike Tomlin, that team always plays hard, and they have had some not very good rosters that they
They've
have
had
given
some
that
trash
man. They've
rosters. I
had
mean,
horrible,
I
like
I
he was getting winning seasons with Mason Rudolph at quarterback. Like, let's not get it twisted. Seriously, like, stop it. Knock that
he
off.
what Duck Hodges,
Yeah.
Kenny Pickett. I mean,
Yes.
the list goes on. He has played. I mean, the end of Bathroom Ben.
Yeah.
He has had some trash quarterbacks
He's had nothing at the quarterback position
for
and
years.
literally still doesn't lose.
Listen,
So,
they were getting a little something out of Justin Fields, then they got a little something out of Wilson. Then Russell Wilson turned back into Russell Wilson. But the one
mhm.
thing you could say is Tomlin commands enough respect. Russell Wilson didn't get to do his nonsense this year.
Yep. Yep. That's right. Uh, After a 6-11 record, did you see the wheels falling off the bus like it did this year in San Francisco?
You can't even count that. I mean, the wheels fell off the bus because the wheels fell off the players. Christian McCaffrey missed most of the season. Trent
Yep.
Williams had injuries and a child dying. Ayuk got his
Fair.
contract and immediately tore everything.
No, no,
Purdy
he was
missed
trash
multiple games.
before he tore everything. Let's not let he
Well,
wasn't playing well.
he wasn't playing well, but he had no camp. He wasn't one of those guys that can go in no camp style.
That's fair.
I think he came in out of shape. It was clear, but and even he admits that he did it
Wait,
wrong because he ended up with the same contract he was offered to him several weeks before.
now I'm gonna stop you right here, Dave, because if you scroll down in our timeline, there was a question that I posed and you completely smushed it, and I was like, hey, do you think that these holdouts are gonna have any effect on the San Francisco 49ers? And both holdouts played horrible this season.
Well, Trent Williams didn't play horrible. Trent Williams was hurt. Trent Williams never plays horrible. Coach,
Yeah,
you should
no, he
you
wasn't
should
playing.
watch
He
out just
wasn't
in case.
playing great. He
Well,
was just all right.
you have to remember the standard that Trent Williams has set for himself. That's a surefire Hall of Famer right there. Been the best left tackle in the league forever. And I
I
mean,
don't. I don't want to talk about these things.
but
These are all. These
let's
are all.
just
Those are
let's
painful
be honest.
subjects. Okay.
He missed a ton of games. He was hurt. Who didn't miss games for that team?
Yeah,
Kittle
yeah.
missed games. Debo missed games. Everybody
I
missed games. McCaffrey
I
missed
will
most of the
say.
season.
I will say though, and I said this before, and people thought I was crazy. I felt like they were going to win between 8 and 10 games. I didn't think they were going to really stretch back into the juggernaut that they have been, just because of how hard it is to keep climbing that mountain and not win it. And now you're an even more of a year removed. I think having another good draft pick and having John Lynch having another good draft pick to continue to like his Pearsall, Ricky
But today,
Parcell
Pearsall
looks
got
he looks
shot
yeah,
and came back in the same season.
in the
He got shot
chest,
in the
like
chest
in the
and
chest.
played.
Not,
And
Brian
by
Robinson at
the
least
end of
got
the
shot in the
season,
leg.
he
He
played
got
pretty
shot in the
well.
chest.
He played pretty
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
So, and Josh, here's what I will say: if we have this conversation in a year, and they had a
Mm-hmm.
year like that, then make fun of me. But you remember that team with all that talent gets an off-season healthier,
Yeah,
everybody coming back, and a fourth place schedule.
yeah. That's true.
You
That's true too.
you don't
What a
get the
bet.
Bills in those games anymore. You don't get Lions games. You don't get some of
You're
these
gonna
other
get
games.
Jags. You're
You
gonna get
get
some
Bears
Jags in there.
games. You get
Yeah,
things like that.
yeah.
So let's
That's fair. They definitely are on 14 win watch next season.
you have
But
to watch out because there's people calling for Kyle's job. Some people are crazy. That's crazy. You
they
will never
definitely
see a
shouldn't.
man hired so fast as if you fired Kyle Shanahan. He would be
They
hired before
definitely.
you hung up the phone.
I don't think that calling for Kyle's job is right, but I do think there is something to be said in terms of like maybe some malaise in the locker room and guys starting to feel a certain type of way. Kyle did have this just kind of dejected look most of the season, even when they weren't necessarily out of it. They just didn't.
But
They just
what
didn't look like it.
I feel like all season, every single player at every level, who did they have? I mean,
Yeah,
and if it wasn't on like injuries on the field, like the tragedy with Trent Williams' daughter, stuff like that, like they had horrible things happening all around them. Pearsall, once again, got shot in the chest
yeah.
before he ever played a second. I mean,
Yeah,
this
Zachariah,
is
what do you mean something's got to be done about Bosa? What do you mean? What you got
well,
to elaborate on that? You
I
can't
have some
just.
thoughts on what needs to be done about Bosa, but I think that's for a different podcast. Knucklehead.
Oh my goodness! All right, and before we get on to the playoffs, Saquon and the Eagles, they don't go for the record. Oh, you talking about the MAGA hat? There's nothing we can do about that. That
He's
is
trash.
what it is.
He's a trash
That,
human.
that
He
is that is that is
always
what it
has
is.
been, always
That's
will be.
old news. That's 4 years back.
Family's
We moved
trash.
past it.
He's trash. They're all
We
trash.
know
School he
what
went
Bosa's
to is
about. I
trash.
mean, it
Everything's
is what
trash.
it is. But Saquon and the Eagles don't go for the record. They don't go for Eric Dickerson's 40-year-old record. But when you look at the grand scheme, they also didn't get any injuries. Looking at the playoff injuries, Jordan Love leaves the game. Last game versus the Bears with an elbow injury. Christian Watson on the Packers
ACL.
possibly tore his ACL.
Zay
Um,
Flowers
Dave Flowers, we don't know the extent of his knee injury yet, or at
didn't
least
look
I didn't
good.
when I checked everything. John Mechie from the Texans on top of their receiver going down a few weeks ago. Now he's hurt. Blake Corum on the Rams breaks his forearm. Like there's a
Terry
lot of
Arnold
dudes.
last night for
Yeah.
Lions
Thank
fans
you,
that can't afford
thank
more
you. Terry
injuries.
Arnold going down with the ankle injury. Like the Lions have literally no secondary, but the Lions played
They
really,
played
really well.
great last night.
They played really well
Aaron
last night.
Glenn shut up doubters like myself included last night.
Well, look, Aaron Glenn, that was no matter what goes forward, that was his coaching resume right there.
Oh,
His head
100%.
coaching resume was that game last night. That was incredible.
No, he
They
dialed it up
played
last
really, really
night.
well.
He dialed it
They
up
played
last night.
really, really well. But do you think they should have went for the record, Saquon? Do you
I
think they
think
should
the
have?
injuries. I think the injuries tell us everything we need, and I think everybody realizes that in a 17-game season, these records are cheapened even more. I mean,
Yeah.
Saquon, there were games earlier in the season where they offered to put Saquon in to break like personal records and things like that, and he took a seat on that. He said, "Let other people play."
Hmm.
He's not there. Listen, 2,000-yard season is still impressive. He's not he's not there for the 2,000-yard season. That man's there, and he's had injury history. So let's not forget that part. Especially as a running back, man, you're one play away at all times.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's one play away, but running backs are one play away.
Running backs are getting hit by big people. That's all you have to say. They're the smallest people on the field getting hit by the biggest people on the field. Let that sink in. But I mean, listen, 16 games. If you would have broke it, nothing to say. But in 17 games, Eric Dickerson was saying too, in terms of just what else he has, because he also holds the record for rookie rushing yards in a season. He has 1,800 some yards, and he's like that one has more of a chance to never be broken than the 2,000 mark now, because you only got one shot to get that one.
There's only one running back record that will never actually be broken. The fact that OJ got to 2,014 games,
It's crazy. That's absurd.
That makes no sense.
That is like, how hard it is to do that in Madden? Like, we have a guy in my Madden league that literally, he does that regularly, but regular people, that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. That was not getting broken. Switching gears over to the playoffs, starting off in the AFC, the Chiefs get the number 1 seed, 15-2 record. But the first game, the Bills, the 2 seed, your 2 seed Bills take on the Texans at home. Bills minus 8.5.
Bills Broncos.
Bills Broncos?
Yep.
Yeah, why is that? Why did I have the Texans? My fault. Thank you. Bills Broncos. The Broncos are the 7th seed. Bills Broncos 8.5. Do you feel like that's too high? How do you feel about the Broncos matchup?
Broncos do have a good defense, and Sean Payton is a good coach. But that's a rookie quarterback out there who's feeling himself a little bit extra right now, especially after a game against a team that you want to talk about putting a new level on not trying yesterday. The Kansas City Chiefs did not try yesterday. They could not have cared less.
I don't even think. Look. You know what though? Look, they weren't trying to let the Bengals in, and they were not trying to let the Bengals in. They weren't.
And by the way, as someone who's terrified of Joe Burrow, I'm happy about that.
Thank you. Yeah, seriously, because you would have had to play him. And then he would have walked his behind right in the arrowhead if he took you out.
I'm more afraid of Joe Burrow than any other quarterback. And yes, that includes Patrick Mahomes. The Bills have had more success against Mahomes. Burrow lights them up every time he sees them. It is not close.
Yeah. But so are you taking the points with your Bills, or are you just saying money line in that one?
Money line, not points. 8.5 is a lot of points. That is a good defense. Now, my only hope is that the Bills are going to score. So, just can they score on the other side? That's the real question. My hope is everybody should be back healthy on the Bills' defense.
Yeah.
If that's the case, that defense is good enough.
Okay. Next up, the 3 seed Ravens take on the Steelers. This is their 3rd matchup probably in the last month, I'd say.
Yep.
Ravens, like I said before, minus 10 favorites at home. I'm definitely going to take the Steelers on the points. I don't know if they can pull this game out, but that game's going to be a slugfest. I don't think that's going to be a shootout.
Wrong.
Really? Wow.
Dog walk. Russell Wilson. The Steelers defense is pretty good, but the Ravens defense has gotten quietly good in the recent weeks. Not close. By the way,
the Ravens have lost a lot of receivers.
I hope and pray to the dear Lord Jesus that you're right, because I don't want to see the Ravens.
That would be your matchup. That would be your next game.
What are you? Your offense is what? Over the middle of the fryer move? Can't trust Pickens. You don't have a running game.
Yeah.
How are they scoring?
See, the Steelers' running game is in and out, because Warren will come in and he'll do well, and sometimes Najee gets rolling, but it's like some games it's there and some games it isn't. When it's not, you're right. They literally start grasping for straws, because Calvin Austin only does so much, and Mike Williams is like one or two real. He only really gets like 2 or 3 opportunities the whole game, so
I
it's real tough. That's a tough one.
I only walk this up back if Zay
Let me.
Flowers is
I'm gonna
out.
go get I'm gonna go get my charger because my phone's about to die. You go
Oh
ahead, keep
no,
talking.
good
Keep
lord,
talking.
unprofessional. What I was gonna say is, if Zay Flowers is out, then 10 points is too much. That's all I have to say on that game. But Harbaugh's going to outcoach him. I don't think this will be a surprise. If Flowers plays at all, 10 plus points easy. Man,
10
why
plus
is your
points.
phone always dead? Why is your phone
Wow.
always dead? Why are you reinforcing stereotypes all the time, Josh?
What say again?
Why are you reinforcing stereotypes?
What? What stereotype am I reinforcing today?
Black people never had their phones charged.
Listen, okay. My phone is,
Josh, your phone is never charged.
it is what it is, okay? My phone's always dying. It is what it is. Nothing I can really do or say
Yeah, part
about
of the
the
problem with
situation.
that is you always got Samsungs. That's part of what your
Oh,
issue
see
is.
that's just you're getting bushed right now. It is what it is. There's nothing that can be done. I mean,
Oh my
all
lord,
right,
what a mess! What a
all
mess!
right. Here we go. Okay.
Good
All
lord.
right. We're gonna have to hold it for a little bit here. But let me see.
I
Go
don't know
ahead
why
and
this is so funny to me, but it is.
get myself
Anyway,
set back up.
we went
He
through
said
Steelers.
thought.
Well, I went through Steelers Ravens. So the next one you got to have is what, Texans Chargers, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So Texans Chargers. Texans are +3 favorites at home. So that's not good.
Plus three favorites or dogs?
They're plus. Well, excuse me. They're +3 dogs at home. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're home
I'd still
dogs.
take the Chargers.
Yeah, yeah. It's been a slow fall this year for the Texans. The Texans
I'm gonna
haven't really looked
tell
scary
you,
the whole
in a
season.
couple of years, when Harbaugh has a couple more players, you got to watch out for that team.
Yeah, well, shoot. I mean, like, listen, they're gonna draft again this year, and who's to say they don't mess around and get Genty or one of those guys? Like they're only a few players away from being very, very dangerous.
Genty's going top 10. Oh
Think
yeah,
so?
100%.
Okay,
They've
all right.
realized what running backs mean again.
Uh, if you get one that's really that good, they still marginalize them
But
so much.
well, let me correct that. The good teams realize what running backs mean, with the exception of the Chiefs. I mean, look at most of the good teams. Detroit,
Yeah,
Buffalo with
Jameer
Eckler.
Gibbs. Yeah,
You got Derrick Henry in Baltimore. You got Saquon in Philly. You got Kyrie Williams with the Rams. You
that
have
well,
good
that one was a later pick, so that's a little bit
later
different.
pick, but I
Yeah,
mean they're prioritizing him
yeah,
now, and plus they brought
yeah.
on Blake Corum to help spell him on some carries too. The smart teams knew that because everybody had to shift out all those nickel packages, you could run right at some of these teams.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think Genty's a top 10 pick because of that.
Okay. All right. Switching gears over to the NFC, the number 1 seed Detroit Lions. Yeah, Seattle, K9 and Charbonnet.
Oh,
That's
dude,
true.
Walker, he still scares me of what he did with Michigan State against Michigan one year.
Yeah.
He stole those players' souls. Oh, every time
By
I see him,
himself.
I'm like, oh yeah, by himself. It wasn't like he was getting help. Didn't need it
That's
either.
fair. That's fair. The number 1 seed Detroit Lions, we talked about it briefly, take down the Minnesota Vikings for the number 1 seed and the AFC North title. Um, the Lions looked great. Now, I don't know how deep they're going to be able to go simply because of that defense, but if the defense, especially with Anzalone coming back, we'll see. We'll see. But their secondary is just it just depends. It depends on, if you're able to really attack that secondary the way you think that you should. That's where I think they could start to run into some trouble. But Jameer Gibbs last night looked great. He looked at 4 touchdowns. Like he was actually going to work.
I love the combo of him and Montgomery. I think they're two of the better backs of the league. I
Montgomery
didn't
talking
know,
about coming back. Did you
yeah,
see that, Dave?
but I didn't know if Gibbs could take a bunch of
Mm,
carries, but I mean, I'll tell you that when that guy either hits a hole or turns a corner, it's a problem because he's
yeah,
gone.
yeah,
Between him and Jameson Williams, they have two guys that if you give them an edge,
it's over.
you are not catching them. Either one of those two.
Yep, yep. Is Hutch coming back? Z, they're saying he's been
If
saying
they
he's trying to come
make the
back if they
Super
make it to the
Bowl,
Super Bowl. But he last night when they were saying during the game, never say never, but he's going to be smart and safe. So he still sounds
well,
like he's a little bit of
they're going
ways
to
away.
force it to be safe. But I will tell you right now, just from years of watching him as a Michigan fan and watching a lot of Lions games too, he'll be suited up.
Yeah,
Whether he Willis reads it and plays a couple plays or not, that's to be determined. But
yeah,
he will be he will be dressed in a full uniform. They make the Super Bowl. Also, speaking of
yep.
uniforms, that new blue helmet with the all blacks for the Lions, that should be your new uniform. Keep that
You like it that
uniform.
much?
Oh, it's great.
I
You know who else I like?
like
You
it.
know
I
who else
like
likes
it,
it?
but I
All
wouldn't
Lions
want
fans.
like I see. I like their black ones. They have a lot of really good looks.
Their
There's a lot of really good
uniforms are
looks going on
clean
in the
anyway.
NFL. Yeah, yeah,
They're clean uniforms anyway, but those are nice uniforms. That
yeah,
helmet,
yeah. That's
especially
true.
that blue with the black
It's
lines.
It definitely switches it up for sure, for sure. But switching gears, so the 2 seed, the Philadelphia Eagles are taking on the uh, Green Bay Packers. Packers are plus 4.5 dogs on the road. Do you think the Packers have a chance of pulling the upset?
How healthy is Jordan Love? Even then, maybe not. I don't know, man. Eagles would look pretty good for a while. I just
Yeah,
I don't think they have the horses. Just don't.
yeah,
The Eagles are
yeah.
a loaded team. You know this because you see them.
I'm not
Your team is the
upset that
hope
we
to beat
moved
the
out of that
Eagles.
game.
I'm
I'm
just
not
saying.
upset that we moved out of
Your
that one.
your team is strangely enough the hope to beat the Eagles.
I
You
mean,
have
I'll
some
say
weird formula against them. I don't know what it is. Dan Quinn has them kind of figured out as much as somebody can.
um, I'll say the one thing we do have to worry about a little bit with the Eagles is Saquon Barkley's health. Not Saquon Barkley's health, excuse me, Jalen Hurts' health.
Still in concussion
Um,
protocol.
yeah, if he's not right, then they could be in some trouble. I won't say that they're in panic mode, but that definitely does tip the
Oh
scales
no, they're
back
in
to
definite trouble.
the middle.
And you know I'm not a Hurts fan, but it's not like going to Kenny Pickett is a plus.
Look, as much as we're not Hurts fans, we know that they still have built that offense and that mentality around him.
Correct.
And that's really all that you could hope for out of your quarterback, even if your
Can't do a
quarterback
tush
isn't
push
the
with
greatest
Pickett.
thing. No, you see they haven't tried.
Yeah.
Not once. I'm gonna go with the Eagles, but I think that the Packers definitely will be in that game. I don't think that game's gonna get away from them. My Commanders go on the road versus the Buccaneers. Commanders are +3 dogs on the road. This was also a rematch of our season opener. Remember we played the Bucks in
Yeah.
Tampa back week 1, and Jaden didn't look necessarily great. He looked a little
First
confused.
game of the season.
First game.
How do you do
Yeah,
after that?
we
Pretty
went
well.
on to win the next 3. So, it's gonna I think it's gonna be interesting. It's definitely gonna come down to how quickly they can settle him in and creating an offensive identity. I think our defense, especially if Lattimore plays, should be able to hold the fort down a little bit better. If we can slow down Bucky Irvin, at least keep him tapped down, put some pressure on Baker, I think that we can get that win.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. I would take Washington in this game.
All right. Next up, final matchup of the week, the 4th-seeded Rams, so the weakest division winner, versus
Well, only
the
because, by the way,
14-3 Vikings.
only because they wanted to be, because they sat everybody this week.
Yeah.
Everybody. And they still had a full game with
It's
everybody out.
that's tough to see because like they could have been that 3 seed, and I would
Could
have much rather
have.
played the Rams than
Clearly,
play the Buccaneers personally.
clearly it didn't. But when they're healthy and right, I can tell you as a Bills fan, when Nakua is healthy and Cup is
Yeah,
healthy and Stafford
yeah.
is dealing it, they can play with anybody.
Very, very true. Very, very true. That's fair.
I
That's fair.
what's the line on this game? How much are the Vikings favored by?
Uh, so the Vikings are plus 1.5 favorites. Oh, excuse me, minus 1.5 favorites on the
Yeah,
road. So it's
yeah.
tight. They've got it. They've got it tight.
That's
And
that's as they should, because I think that's a well. The thing is with that game with the Rams, you tend to know if as good as I think Stafford is. I've always been a big believer in his. You tend to know real early on if he's got it or if he doesn't. If he
mm,
doesn't have it, you're going to know pretty quick, and then Flores will have that game plan dialed up.
yeah, yeah. All right, switching gears over to the CFP, the college football playoff. Dave, this is so I'll say this. This is very exciting. This is definitely what, the college football playoff was really all about. Of all the teams, Dave, the most recent champion was Ohio State in 2014. So one of these teams is going to really, really be over the moon. Their fan base, you look at Penn State. Penn State hasn't won since 1984. 1994, if you want to talk about back when they were claiming they could be national champions.
It's not their
Uh,
fault they didn't get to play against the other teams. They had to play the Rose Bowl. It is what it is.
that's fair.
I God,
And
you made me defend Penn State. I'll never forgive you for this. Never
and
forgive
Notre
you.
Dame, Notre Dame hasn't won since '88. You know what I mean, with Coach Lou. So Texas, obviously Vince Young taking down the Trojans and Reggie Bush and Matt Leinart and those boys.
Let me tell
That's
you
the last
something.
time.
I love the playoff. I love that there's more teams involved. I think it's stupid when people are worried about all the 3-loss teams. I do think they got the seeding wrong this year. I think they'll fix that next year.
Hmm.
All that being said, Texas is my only hope. I'm a Michigan fan. Texas is my only hope. A team that beat Michigan this year, by the way. They're it.
Dang.
They're it. What?
You don't
Who else am I going to cheer for?
you don't want
Notre Dame?
any of the other teams?
Notre Dame, Josh? Penn State? Do you even have to ask the question with Ohio State? Who is going to win, by the way? The way they're playing right now, they are a buzzsaw. And I feel like after that Michigan loss, everybody can get that work. Ohio State is walking comfortably to the championship. None of these teams can play on their level. Jeremiah
Wow.
Smith, if freshmen were allowed to come out, would be the number one pick in this draft.
You think so?
Yes, and this is a Michigan fan saying this. I see what I'm
Dang.
seeing.
That's coming from pure hate, is what you're saying.
Dude, it has been belts to asses from the second that Michigan beat them and planted that flag in the middle of Ohio Stadium.
You're not
They
wrong.
gave
You're not
Tennessee that
wrong.
work, and what they did to Oregon was disgusting.
So you think that the Ohio State -6 line versus Texas is fair?
Fair. Fair.
Wow.
Somebody should jump on that all day long.
Wow. Okay. All right.
Even
I
though
thought that was a little.
Texas is skilled, but I mean, number one, Quinn Ewers' heart is still at Ohio State at all times, even though they let him down.
Yeah.
But I just let me tell you, I think Sarkisian's a good coach and maybe could coach it up, but that defense is going to have to show a whole heck of a lot more than it did against Arizona State.
That's fair. No, that's fair.
Because it's a
And
very
then
different team you got to stop. And they have two good running backs, too.
yeah,
They
yeah,
have two good running backs. They have two first-round caliber receivers.
that's fair. I mean, you can't take it away. Listen, Ohio State, as you said, they were right there the whole year. They lay that egg, last week of the season before the conference championship game versus Michigan, and changes everything.
Yeah.
But I believe their coach was saying that the playoff has allowed them to play back into their game, and I think that speaks directly to what you were saying.
No, 100%. But
Um,
they've recalibrated themselves. Conference championship games are very even though it gets teams into the playoff, it's very devalued for a team like that. It doesn't really benefit them that much to make it
yeah,
to a conference championship game. Doesn't mean
that's
that
fair.
much anymore.
That's fair.
So they have to always worry about the players wanting to play these conference championship games now. But I well, trust me, I've never wanted to be wrong so much in my life. But the team that we're watching those last two games, they're the best team in the country. I don't feel like it's particularly close.
Yeah. Last matchup, Notre Dame versus Penn State. Penn State is +2 dogs versus Notre Dame. I'm actually, man, that's tough. I'm actually gonna go with Notre Dame in this one. That's look, like I said, the fact that either of those teams could be in a national title game is exactly what we wanted out of the playoff.
It is,
Is
but
getting these
but
teams better opportunities.
once again, the seeding had a lot to do with that because the seeding determined who they played. Now,
Yeah.
listen, Georgia. Now, I thought Carson Beck was trash all year, but without Carson Beck, they were rough. They had no downfield threat whatsoever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
and Penn State, I mean, all due respect to Boise in their season, they just don't have the horses to play with a team like. I mean, Boise State doesn't have a team like that can play with Penn State. Just
Yeah.
the talent gap is too severe. So
Yeah.
I just and like I said, and giving Oregon as your reward for being the undefeated best team in the country, conference champion, you get to play Ohio State, a mad Ohio State team at that, who has a win to get back on you. Yeah, I did. Good luck to Oregon.
Good luck.
In that game. I didn't think Oregon was. I didn't think what happened was going to happen.
Oregon got cracked. That was pretty bad. I'm not gonna lie. That was pretty bad.
Garbage.
Yeah. They got blown out. Just in case we don't have a chance to do another episode, because I do believe we should be back in studio shortly here. So I'm hoping we're back in this month. I keep saying that, but we should be back in studio soon. So in case we aren't doing another episode before the national title game, you're going with Ohio State as your national title
Ohio
holder?
State, Penn State, Ohio State winning.
Okay.
My nightmare is going to happen. It's just, well, I think it would be even worse for me if it was Ohio State Notre Dame. I would want a Bane type situation where the field blows up and all the players are sucked into the earth.
Why are we killing children now? Now you're killing children. At least before you were killing adults. Now we're killing children.
They made their choices. They're grown ass men getting paid now. That's not killing
they
children.
Made their
choices.
That's
killing grown men.
Crazy.
They made their choice.
Oh my God. I'm gonna go Notre Dame just because, listen, they haven't won in almost my entire lifetime, so it's time for them to get a title.
Why would you want that?
It's time. Let the Golden Domers have one.
Get in a conference, play a real schedule.
There's something to be said about that too.
Schedule. Don't schedule service academies every year. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of us giving them credit. They lost to Northern Illinois. Stop giving them credit.
That's fair too.
Stop letting your coach be so handsome too, by the way. That doesn't help things either. This was Brian Kelly we can make fun of. What are we going to do, make fun of Marcus Freeman for what? Get out of here.
Switching gears to around the world in sports. Dave, I had a quick question to you. Who's the number one team in college basketball right now?
Number one team in college basketball right now?
Mm-hmm.
And I've been watching college basketball, so I should know the answer to this question. I know that Duke is the best team, but I know they're not the number one team. No, I know who number one is. They're undefeated Tennessee. With one of my
Tennessee's number one. Who's
the coach is Rick Barnes.
Rick Barnes, the coach. Okay. All right. So my question. So how much attention have you paid to college basketball so far this season?
I have paid some attention this year because they got some players this year. It ain't last year, buddy. You got the Ace Baileys out there. You got Cooper Flag. Cooper Flag is the real deal.
Yeah.
So you have players all over the country this year. The talent level difference between this class and last year's class, astronomically different.
Okay. All right.
There are players to watch.
I'll say this because this leads me to my question. So, do you feel that the NBA and the NFL share a little bit of the blame? Because I feel as if college basketball, and the numbers bear this out, college basketball, college football, the numbers have diminished a little bit. College football, not as much, obviously, because they get propped up by certain areas of the country. But I think in the national landscape, national landscape, you very rarely hear anybody talking about college basketball on ESPN, on any of the talking head shows anymore.
You play for 1 year at most. Some guys, there's other pathways now.
Yep.
It's just, it it's you have to have a Cooper Flag like talking point
Mm,
to get attention on college basketball. Now that whole Duke team is
yeah,
loaded.
yeah,
Strangely enough, not as loaded as his own high school team was at Montverde, but it's loaded. So you got 3 lottery picks on that team.
yeah. Now, but do you feel as if the NBA and the NFL owe a little bit of the blame?
They owe
The NBA.
they owe
So
listen. The
go ahead.
NFL owes blame to every other sport because the NFL wants to take from everybody.
Every day
They weren't supposed
they want every
to.
day.
They weren't supposed to ever touch Fridays because that was high school's day. They're
Yep.
doing that. They had to take Christmas from the NBA, which they did not take it from me, by the way. I only watched to watch Beyonce. That's it, and she was great. I'm not even a Beyonce fan. It's
But
one of the
they
best
de- they
performances.
definitely
One
split.
of the
They
best
definitely split
performances
some
I've
eyeballs.
seen in my entire life.
That
She's amazing.
look, Beyonce. You forgot Beyonce was in a stadium. I will say that. But I will say they split eyeballs. They split eyeballs on Christmas. You know the
Split.
NFL's had
They took them. They took them
yeah
outright.
yeah
It's just it. Some of these people are. The NBA does have issues. I don't want to get into a whole rant here about the NBA and NFL, but the NBA has its own issues. But it doesn't help that most people aren't that smart to pay attention to a sport that plays more than once a week.
mm,
And a lot of the people that are all big on the NFL, they're drunk most of the game anyway. They don't know what's going on. So I don't want to hear from these people. Everybody wants to talk so much big nonsense about big bad NFL, but it's like your bigger problem with the NBA is more so that they're young kids. They pay a lot of attention to the NBA. They don't watch games. They
yeah
watch highlights.
yeah.
It's the LaMelo ballification of basketball, where it's just that highlight is great, and LaMelo is having a good season. By looking at it, he's leading East guards in All-Star voting.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
people was like, well, he's scoring 30. It's like, yeah, but one, Jalen Brunson's got to be a starter. And two, you're going to tell me you're not going to put Donovan Mitchell as a starter? The Cavs have 4 losses
That's crazy.
in 35 games.
I will say though, as far as the NBA, because remember the NBA with next year's TV deals going into place, the NBA will have a primetime game every day of the weekdays.
Yeah.
So Monday through Sunday, somebody has a primetime game, and I just feel like they want to take so much for these children, but then at the same time, it's like the biggest thing that college used to do was basically brand these kids going into the professional ring.
Yeah.
And now they get to the pros, and it's like unless they were, you were a fan of their team or you were a fan of that conference, so you knew how dangerous this guy was. A lot of these kids are almost unknowns coming into the pros, and I feel like just on the grand scheme, that's really diminishing college
I,
athletics a little bit.
and see, I'd kind of like to see them because you're seeing the best teams. Like Tennessee just has a bunch of older players that have been in
Yeah,
there for years, and a lot of them are transfers from other programs that they played at your years. I would kind of like, and nobody will ever do this, so it's not me being one of those crazy people. I'd kind of like to see a baseball model. If you're like a Cooper Flag, come straight out. You don't need the year in college. You were out there playing against the Olympic team, and every one of them says you can play.
yeah,
Every single
yeah.
one. So everybody else, all the former players talking trash, like, oh, this kid's getting propped up because he's white. Go tell LeBron that. Go tell Steph Curry
No,
that. Because those
no,
guys are
no.
all saying, this kid is the real deal and can play.
White boy is cold. I'm not gonna lie.
And
I'm not gonna lie to you.
17. He's
Yeah,
young.
yeah.
He's like, he doesn't turn 18 till like after the season.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna see. We're gonna see. It's definitely an exciting time, but yeah, I mean,
And you
it's
mark
it's
my
just
words,
it's hard to see.
next year in the NBA, he's not going to have the same size of effect, but he's having to have a Caitlin Clark-ish effect. Because the Great White Hope
Okay.
does mean something. The Great
For
White
oh,
American
for
Hope,
sure. Yeah, well, look, especially
eyeballs.
if he plays well. If he plays well, and look, there's a lot of white kids in the league right now. I'm not gonna lie to you. There's a lot more than you think.
A lot of them are
No, 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 no.
European. But
Not not Euros.
a lot
Not
of good
Euros. I would say
players, a lot of
Euros.
good role players, but not stars.
No, that's
There's
very true.
a lot of
That's
Dalton
very true.
Connects out there. A lot of
Yeah,
a
yeah,
lot of
yeah,
Tyler
yeah.
Heroes out there. A
Well,
lot of Peyton Pritchards out there.
Tyler Hero's a little bit more on star adjacent, I'd say.
I don't know if
I
he's
would say he's star
star
adjacent.
adjacent. He's much more black adjacent.
the way that I hate you. I can't even put it into words.
But he's
All
I
right,
will tell
we
you,
got two more. I know you gotta get out of here. So we got two more things before we get out. First off, Dave, Alex Ovechkin came back almost 6 weeks. Well, excuse me, 5 weeks to the day after breaking his leg, and has gotten right back to business. He
which is
scored
stupid to do.
4 goals in 5 games, and he is now 23 goals back of setting the record. Is he doing it this
Next
year? Yes or no?
season. Next
Yeah,
season.
you crazy. You crazy, Dave.
Next
Dave, it's
season.
happening, baby. You can't, I keep giving you the opportunity to get on board, and you're not doing it. You're not taking it, Dave. It's
Where
happening.
does I know you've watched hockey for years. Where does Ovechkin rank all time for you?
All time. Um, he he
He's
he's
definitely not.
definitely top.
First off, he's definitely not one.
No, no,
One one
no, no,
one
no.
is one
All
is
time.
reserved.
No, no,
One
no,
is
no.
reserved and will not be
Listen,
touched.
listen, listen. Gretzky again. His assists alone are the most points
By
of
a
all
lot.
time. Yeah.
By a lot.
Yes, by a few hundred, by a few hundred.
No, by
So
several
let's
hundred.
no, I think it's
It's a
like
lot.
two. I think he's got Yarmir by like 200 somewhere. Because remember,
You might
Yarmir kept playing.
you might
He kept
you
playing.
might you might want to double check that.
I
See,
I think it's like 200.
I would say to me the highest Ovechkin could get all time is probably third.
I would say probably like five-ish,
But that's what I'm saying.
five-ish.
He's more in that range. But I'm saying like if you want
Yeah.
the highest you can because you can't put him in front of Gretzky and you can't put him in front of Lemieux.
No, no. And look, and then there's still, there's still, you got the Brett Hulls in there,
You got
Yager's in
Bobby
there.
Hull, you got Gordie
Yeah, yeah.
Howe, you got all
Gordie
the
Howe's in
guys,
there.
Bobby
There's
Orr.
still there's bodies. But I will say he's probably gonna look. He mess around if we're able to get another cup before he retires, which is crazy to say, but we are playing well.
It is.
It's crazy to say, but if he's able to get another one, I don't think Sydney catches him. Then now that gap between the
Sydney's
two of
not
them kind
catching
of
him
flips.
anyway. The gap
Well,
between him and Sydney, that rivalry is dead. And this is no disrespect to Sidney Crosby, a true Hall of Famer, but come on, it's not close between those two. It's
all
not
right.
close. This is
All
from a
right, listen.
it's not. This is from a non-capital
As a
state.
man, as a man that has had to fear Sidney Crosby for many years, it's close over here. That fear is palpable. Trust me.
It's
I do not like him.
it's
I haven't liked him.
we've
I
had
will
to
never like
just
him.
just remember we've had to question if Sidney Crosby was the best player on his own team for a number of years.
That's fair. Malkin was right there. Malkin was there for sure.
We never questioned
But yeah,
that like that with Ovechkin, not once.
oh no, not no. He it was never even close.
Now,
Um,
but he's old.
he he is in like seventh place in scoring. Like the craziest part was, remember when he broke his leg, he led the league in scoring. He led the league in goals when he broke his leg. It took him like a week for them to overtake him.
Yeah.
And he missed 5 weeks. He came back. He's still like maybe like 6 goals back. It's crazy. It's crazy.
He was determined to break that record this year. I think that broken leg is going to keep him from it. But he was sure trying. I was like, oh my God, I thought there was no chance he was going to do that this year. He thought differently.
I think he ends up with 45 goals in the season. Gets what is that? Maybe two or three goals over the record before the end of the year.
That would just that many goals at his age is impressive.
He's finding new ways. He's finding new ways to score.
All time.
You know what I mean? It's a delight to see. They play today, so I will be watching shortly. And finally, we're getting out of here on this. Explosive allegations made against Skip Bayless. I forgot to Google his wife's name. I think his wife's name is Marjorie.
Skip. Don't paint only Skip with that brush. That brush
listen,
everywhere.
Hey, listen. I'm gonna say this with my full voice. Better leave Joy Taylor out your mouth. Well, that's my girl. And look, if I had to take this moment to pledge my allegiance and love to Joy Taylor, it's right now.
We all have our own feelings about Joy Taylor. Nobody's gonna lie about that. However, first off, my initial impulse is always when people allege things like this, I believe it because
For
Nine,
sure. For sure.
99 times out of 100, it happens. Yes, there are random crazy events that people then prop up and try to act like are common, where people make shit up. No, most of the time, that happened. So
Yeah.
all of this rings way too true.
Yeah.
The only person
Yeah.
who I saw Shannon Sharp come out and notice when Shannon made his defense, he's like, "This had nothing to do with me. They just brought my name up." Notice what Shannon didn't say was, "Nah, they're innocent."
It didn't happen.
Shannon was like, "They didn't do it." No. Shannon's like, "Keep me out of this," because they did it.
Yeah.
Shannon
Yeah.
got his own stuff going on.
That's. I mean, listen, it's crazy that Skip, but the craziest part that I
Also,
heard.
Skip Bayless sucks. Who cares? He's been terrible for years.
Oh, wait. No, but I'm not sure how much you read of the article. The craziest part that I read was Skip Bayless saying, "Hey, let's have sex." The woman, the lady that's alleging these things says, "Skip, you have a wife." Skip says, "And you're Muslim."
Yes.
And then says, "Your dad probably has 3 wives. So what's
I thought it
wrong?"
was more like 7 wives or something like that. Yeah,
What?
he said some foolish
Like,
shit.
bro, like, like literally,
It
how many ways are you gonna step on your own dick? Like, that's crazy. That is crazy talk.
Him, the Fox News exec, with allegedly, because not been proven yet, the one that's supposedly been with Joy Taylor and all the other stuff. Ugh, whew, man.
It's tough times.
Fox Sports sounds a lot like Fox News to me. Have Joy Taylor and
Sounds
White?
sounds like the apple didn't fall far from the mic. That's fair.
Ooh,
That's
maybe
fair.
not.
That's fair.
Yikes.
All right. Well, I know Dave's got to get out, so I just want to thank you guys again for tuning in for another live episode of the American Fan 365 podcast. I apologize that my phone died and I had to sit here and prop my
That is
phone
his
up,
fault.
but
Okay, see Cleveland
we
Wednesday.
we do what we can, and
See Cleveland Wednesday.
that's a big game. That's a big
And then
game.
they
We'll see you guys.
Then they hold on. Then they play the Knicks again on Friday.
I mean, it's a 2-game swing.
Well,
2-game swing to really
they've
stamp
gone
some things in the league.
Celtics, Cavs, and then Knicks again. Then they get a back. Then they get a break. Then they play Washington.
That will be a well-deserved break for OKC for sure. We'll see you guys next time.
In the game.
All right, Dave. Take care.